Hello, and welcome to episode 53 of Let's Talk Immigration. If you have questions that you need to ask them on Facebook or YouTube, and they show up right here on my screen, and I can answer them. Normally, the first part of the show, I talk about updates. I don't think I have a lot of updates. If you're IR1 waiting on an interview from Pakistan, one of our Iqbal plaintiffs was just scheduled. Iqbal versus Blinken is a lawsuit I filed in the Eastern District of California. I was going to say a March 2022 priority date was scheduled for December. So that means that Islamabad for IR1 category is taking 12 plus 9. 21 months after DQ is when you get an interview. Pretty awful. So if you have a visa beneficiary that's located in Pakistan and there's any way you could get them to a third country, that's the way to go. Ideally not Abu Dhabi, ideally not Accra. But there's like 180 other countries. Ideally get them in one of those countries. As an alternative to that, you could do litigation. But waiting for people to be scheduled organically at an embassy that's barely moving, not a great strategy. Okay, so I don't have many other updates, so I'm just going to go straight into the questions. So if you are just joining me now, ask a question on Facebook or YouTube, and I will get to it. Okay, let's go with the first question here. Baswita was early today. Interview is later this week in Nairobi. We submitted the DS-260 in March 2022, and my spouse has not traveled outside of Kenya, but we had a trip to Tanzania in April of 2023. Do we need to tell consular officer even if not asked? Great question. So what you do at an interview is you take the oath that says everything on the DS-260 is accurate. In this case, everything on the DS-260 is not accurate because it omits the trip to Tanzania. So you don't go into the visa interview with surprises because that doesn't set the correct tone for a visa interview. What I would recommend is email Nairobi right now, tell them to unlock the DS-260 so you can make an update. Okay? That's always the strategy that I recommend. Now, for people that are not in Basweta's situation, your case is at NVC, do not unlock your DS-260. It could mess up with your DQ date. You don't want to potentially cause a problem there. Wait until you are scheduled for an interview and then email the U.S. Embassy where you are scheduled for an interview. Request that they unlock your DS-260 so you can make updates before the interview. Now, since his interview is only coming up in a few days, if Nairobi doesn't get back with him and they are not able to update the DS-260 before the interview, then do bring it up to the consular officer so they can make the change in the DS-260 before you take the oath. Great question. Thank you for that question. And here's more context. The trip was 4 days. Doesn't matter the length of the trip, it needs to be disclosed. Yes, people do say you can edit your DS-260 after submitting, but it's my recommendation you do not edit it unless you have an interview scheduled, which is your situation. Okay. Faisal says, stand for Palestine against the genocide. I condemn the genocide that's happening in Palestine. I join with the majority of Americans who are calling for a ceasefire. And I am disgusted by what the U.S. Congress did in censoring the only Palestinian American member of Congress yesterday. So that's where I stand on that. Annie says, since we are still waiting for outcome, do you know any recent decision issued by DC Circuit or SCOTUS that can be relevant in Good Luck Go and all? Annie, that is a great question. There was a recent decision that could be, and I did not have an opportunity to read the entire decision. It was not about DVs. I emailed it to Raphael a few days ago, a couple weeks ago. I'm looking for my email to see if I can find it. And it does not. Oh, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. I'm trying to remember what this decision was about. It was an immigration matter. I subscribe to something called Lexis Advance. It's a online service that tells me everything that's going on with issued orders. And I got a notification about this case. And I was like, interesting. And I was reading about it. However, no, that was back in August. There was a case called Adrian D.A. Costa versus Immigration Program Office. But nothing, there's not been a case that's been really helpful. If you email, if you're really interested in that, email me and I'll send you this one case so you can look at it. This will disclose. Great. Okay, we got another question that says, hello, I won the DV, provided all the necessary original documents and payments to the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi, Kenya. Payments. I've not received any positive action since then. I was invited to pick up my original documents. So you did have an interview. Okay. I don't know the real outcome due to the long delay. Okay. So it sounds like, I mean, you did not say what the refusal code was on the notice that they gave you, but it sounds like you were refused under 221G and you are in administrative processing. How long that will take depends upon the nature of the administrative processing. If they gave you a DS 5535 form, supplemental questions for visa applicants, that vetting is not done at the embassy, and it takes a ridiculous amount of time that varies from 30 days to years. And even the State Department cannot get on the same page on how long it takes. You'll have one embassy say on their webpage it takes 30 to 60 days, and another one says 60 to 90. And Turkey, Ankara says do not email them if it's been less than 6 months. So they're all over the place on how long it takes. And there's a reason. It takes a long time, and it's arbitrary, and there's not a queue. But you haven't given me that information on whether or not you got a DS 5535. That would be helpful. But let me go back to them for a second. You're a DV 2024 selectee. So let's say you're an AP and you're like, should I consider a mandamus lawsuit? I don't think mandamus lawsuits are viable in this year. Let's talk about it after January. But generally speaking, you have to show that there's imminent injury that's coming. And that's difficult to show when you haven't. They have until September 30th to issue the visas. Of course, they may use them before then. but it's there was a case in 2020, a lawsuit called NWIN that was actually dismissed in May, filed in March, I think, for DVs that said, hey, this unreasonable delay, they're withholding visas to DVs. And the judge, it was Judge Mehta, said, you're bringing this case too early. So lawsuits for DVs, except for narrow situations, like if they're withholding an appointment for a PIN so that you can access your DS-260. But for the most part, lawsuits for DVs are premature. This don't need to be talking about them right now, okay? From direct message. I now have secured an F1 visa, and I'm currently based in New Jersey as a student. Yay. I was thinking, since I am already in the country, if something can be done about my DV 2022 case. Thank you for asking this question. I'm going to answer, and I hope that you believe my answer and you save the space in your head and your time and everybody else's time and just accept what I say is true. Your DV 2022 journey is over. Nothing will change that. Congress only gave 54,850 or something, 55,000 visas for the State Department to issue for fiscal year 2022. And they issued more than that, if you count what they did with USCIS. There's no way they're going to issue another DV 2022 visa. Same with DV 2023. If you were not issued a DV in 2022 or 2023, and you were a 2022 or 2023 winner, those journeys are over. Think forward. Look to the future. Don't talk about DV 2022 anymore. From YouTube, please explain the reasons for delay in EB2 NIW visa interviews and how it can be solved. I wish you would give me more context here. Are you talking about delay in being scheduled for an EB2 NIW interview? Which, in that case, you need to tell me the embassy that you selected on the DS-260 and also your nationality. If you're talking about AP delays after the interview, I know the answer to that. I know the answer to both of them, but I don't know which one you're talking to. I'm going to assume you're talking about, you say visa interviews, waiting for the interview. Well, if you're Iranian, for example, and you're using one of those three embassies, Abu Dhabi, Yerevan, and Ankara, they all have backlogs. And so there are many people in front of you, and you have to wait for them to be scheduled first. If your delay's been an unreasonable long amount of time, you can file a mandamus lawsuit. Contact us about that. Okay. Bob says, Bonjour, Curtis. Quelle est la situation DV 2020? Bonjour, you. La situation est I forgot my French. I don't remember French. Je ne revoir. I don't know. La français. Everything is the same. We are still waiting for the outcome of the appeal. Okay. For DV 2020, the Gomez class, we won summary judgment, and then the Biden administration appealed our victory. And so before those 9,095 visas that we won can be issued, we have to beat the appeal. And that's what we're waiting for. Je regrette. I cannot say that in parle en français. Okay. My French is awful. And of course, more français. Bonjour, Monsieur Curtis. Quelle est la situation de TV 2020? Oh, same question. No change. Still waiting on the outcome of the appeal. Okay, I don't have any more questions here. So that means today is going to be a short episode of Let's Talk Immigration. Join us next Wednesday for episode 54, and have a good weekend. Thank you.